The game that made me fall in love with competitive Halo was probably Halo 2, even though I watched a lot of CE. Reason being, it was the first game that I felt like there was this hyped rivalry. The FB Carbon story will be remembered for many, many years. And I remember just wanting one tournament FB to win it because I love the legacy, I love the dominance, and the next tournament wanting Carbon to win it just so we could see the upset. It was always a lot of fun to watch, and it just kept me on the edge of my seat and just made me fall in love with Halo.
Halo 5 specific moment on Coliseum when Frosty G-slid for, he thrust slid for sniper and just blaned somebody off the start.
Kicking things off with Frosty's POV.
Frosty headed straight for the sniper, making a charge, picks it up immediately and rips off Hook's face.
And I remember seeing that and I was like, damn, I want to be him. I seen that, I was like, that is sick.
Falling in love with competitive Halo for me probably came from Halo 5. I was definitely into Halo 2 and Halo 3, but still being so young, and I just kind of cared about playing games just to play games and have fun. I didn't really get as invested as my brother, who's quite a bit older than I was. He was kind of already in that like young teenager space to kind of really feel out the competition and really appreciate it as I did once I got to like that age around Halo 5. And I think I was watching, I tuned into the Halo 5 Worlds, the first Worlds in 2016 on my Xbox, tuned in. I watched like pretty much the full tournament in length, I think, for the first time ever. And that was when I kind of got hooked into it, and I was getting more into Halo 5, I was enjoying it, and really kind of feeling out that I could also compete in that space.
Sands in a prime position to use that sniper rifle, takes down Destroy. Three players pushing into the base, that's a double kill. Another player spawns by the cave, make that a triple. He's looking for the over, the player going up to Top Rock, takes him down for the overkill.
That's where it pretty much began, fully, was diving into Halo 5.
Halo 1 is kind of where my Halo journey started. That's probably the pinnacle for me, just because it was playing with my brother and local friends, and you know, one of our basements, system linking our Xboxes together, and those are the days that, you know, probably we'll never get back. But Halo 2 is probably the game that started like my competitive journey. Watching probably Final Boss is my earliest memory, watching the Ogres. Those are who kind of I aspired to be when I started playing Halo competitively, so.
Halo 2 is my favorite game of all time. It's also, in my opinion, the best competitive game of all time. You know, BXR has become a thing. You BXR somebody for the first time, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then you double shot somebody, and it's just all the little things when that game started to come together in the final couple of years was like, you just fell in love with it. My dad always told me that like, games would be a sport one day, and I never really truly believed him. But when I saw it on the USA channel, I think that's when it kind of clicked for me as a young adolescent of like, wait, he might be right. And then we ended up going to my first tournament in 2006. So probably fell in love with the competition at Chicago 2006, but I think that game was just a really special time. So it's a culmination of everything that made me fall in love with it.
It's really cool that your dad said he was gonna be on target.
Yeah, he was watching like a Fatality do like a painkiller thing. That's a super throwback, but Painkiller, Quake, stuff like that. And Fatality won like a couple $100,000 on a Painkiller. He watched that and he won a bunch of money on it. And then my dad was also big into EverQuest and would go to like Fanfare and stuff like that. So he was a big nerd. So he had his finger on the pulse when it came to that part of pop culture. Probably not others, but gaming for sure.
Besides Halo 2, like I think a lot of people fell in love with Halo during Halo 3. Xbox 360 came out, everyone got 360, everybody wanted Halo 3 because Halo 1 and Halo 2 were so successful. I just remember so many people playing that game, and I just remember seeing like clips, even like just after the game came out, of like different MLG pros and stuff. But there's always one that sticks in my mind, and I don't know why it sticks in my mind. I was trying to get better at the game, so I was looking up how to get better, and I saw this clip of Dave Walsh. I think it was during Halo 3. He was basically showing you like people how to claw. And I was like, wait, that's genius. So I saw that video, and ever since then, I've been a claw player. And I think most pros are claw players, even still, even with paddles and stuff. So that's definitely like a moment I always think back to and remember.
For me, so I only started competing on Halo and Halo 5. And before that, I was playing on COD. But before that, I was playing for fun on Halo. So basically, I was playing for fun on Halo, enjoying it and everything. And I think Black Ops 2 was out. So I switched to Call of Duty, and that's where I was like 15 or 16. That's where I really started to enjoy compete. And then when Halo 5 came out, I was like, oh yeah, why not compete on the game I like?
I fell in love with Halo back in Halo CE. It's been my game for quite a while. Really, when I think of Halo and I think of just wanting to play every day. It really came down to how much I played with my friends back in the day. We would all go to the same house and LAN pretty much every day if we could, or at the very least every weekend. And it was just a battle of who could be the best in our city. So yeah, it really kind of started there.
The game that made me fall in love with competitive Halo has to have been Halo 3 when I first started watching Halo when I was like 7 or 8. A specific moment that comes to mind watching the tournaments back in the day was one of the most famous moments, but it was Snipe Down when we had the sniper, when he was S1 on pit and just going crazy, so. That's probably the moment that made me fall in love with Halo.
Triggers down. Oh! Snipe Down is on fire!
I used to love playing Halo 2 at my buddy's house over the summers. We'd play split screen 4 ways on a tube TV or play a lot of 2v2s, and that's always had a special place in my heart, but Halo 3 is where I found out about competitive Halo. Halo 3 was when I blew out my knee, so I said I needed something to fill that competitive void, and that's when I played my first ranked game. That's when I was really pursuing playing AIDS and scrimming and trying to get on a pro team. It never happened, but I was still in love with the grind.
First Halo game that made me fall in love with competitive Halo, without a doubt, was Halo 1, or Halo CE, as many others call it. This was before even competitive Halo really even existed, or I even knew it existed, if it did at that point. I was playing at my brother's like college house, and he was just playing against me and one of my buddies, like 2-on-1, or we did like a free-for-all on Battle Creek. And I just remember every single time I would just get like outplayed. And it was like really impressive to me because like a lot of times you play a certain game, you're like, I don't know what's going on, or I can't believe they did that to me. And it was just something that I felt like I had learning from each death, each play. There'd be one fight where I'd get the first couple shots and then like throw my grenade and he comes out and 3 shots me. And I'm just like, all right, like I'm just straight up getting outplayed here. And I think that really opened my eyes in Halo 1 and made me really have this early strong appreciation from the very first games of playing it. And then later, as I, discovered a more competitive scene and tournament scene, I, went on from there and just fell in love further as I started to learn the arena style modes. Yeah, I literally played Halo 1 every weekend after I discovered that game. I'm pretty sure I'd never skipped a weekend unless I just don't think I skipped a weekend. Like, plain and simple, me and friends were getting together, playing every weekend, or I'd start driving over to Michigan State University, playing competitive games with people. It was just what I did because I loved it so much.
I fell in love with competitive Halo during Halo 1. Halo 1 was so grassroots. To find gameplay, you pretty much had to watch early AGP tournaments, eventually MLG tournaments. It was a lot of halo-pro.com, because this is pre-YouTube, to see any clips. The Saiyan chill out clip, where of course it's a digital camera filming behind him of the TV, and he's kind of top portal on chill out and just hitting snipe after snipe after snipe, quick scopes on top rocket platform. Of course, the quote that lives in infamy afterwards is someone from the back yells, "Someone stop him." And I think clips like that were just, my God, like the ground setter for so much to come. I mean, the fact that you had to download montages through, like, get the zipped files, right, and then download someone's new montage. You started to see more and more Halo 1 clips come out. And then, of course, with the launch of Halo 2, all of that just gets, just blown wide open, even bigger. But I'd say the moment that made me fall in love with competitive Halo were clips like that. You were starting to get an idea of where this was going.
Definitely Halo 3 is what made me fall in love with competitive Halo, because that was the first Halo I played back in like 2009. As soon as I figured out like MLG was a thing and people were competing for like these prize pools, I was watching and I just saw like Roy, Lunchbox, Victory X, Fear Itself, Pistola, like all these guys were like the coolest people in my eyes. So it's definitely Halo 3. This is what made me love the game.
The Halo game that made me fall in love with Halo was Halo 2. It's Dallas 2006 when I went to my first event, and I really had no idea what to expect. I showed up with my next door neighbor and a couple of friends, and we actually did pretty well. We got like last run of AM, but the moment I fell in love was when I got an opportunity to sit in the bleachers and watch the best in the world do it, and it was really like a a completely different atmosphere than anything I had ever expected to see going to the tournament. These guys were superstars, and I knew that that was something I wanted to pursue.
I actually, now this is going to be an interesting answer, but it's going to be very different, but I'm going to say Halo 5. Now, I've been playing Halo and following competitive Halo my whole life. Been reading the books, playing the campaigns. Halo's been a big part of my life since I was a kid. And if anything, Halo 1 is the reason why I got into Halo. Halo 5 was when I started to get more involved with the HCS as a former Twitch employee, but also, as a caster. It was always like a dream of mine to commentate Halo because I would watch, Puckett and Sundance and Scott and all these, people who I've come to respect and be friends with. I would see them do it and I would be like, oh man, that'd be so cool. So to have that opportunity to do so, like Halo 5 really, it sold me on Halo not just being like, a couple friends getting together and playing. Like that was always the case and that will always be the case. But there was something just about seeing, big organizations getting involved in Halo for that first run. It was just cool, it was just a different vibe that Halo hadn't had yet. And at that time, it was really just the final bosses and the trigger downs and the instincts of the world. So it was cool to see Halo kind of meet the rest of the esports ecosystem. And that was where I started to really feel like this game, was more than just the MLG Pro circuit. It can actually be a sport. And now here we are, multiple world championships later, and I think we're on that good path. So it's exciting.
Guys, listen. If you love watching Halo, playing Halo, everything about Halo, then why on earth have you not subscribed yet? Click subscribe. Make sure you catch all the videos.